Welcome to the Betting Above the Rim podcast. Today's date, April 28th, episode 144. And let's get into our tip-off topics with a recap of Sunday's action in chronological order. And we lead off with the crazy game between the Knicks versus the Pistons. The Knicks win 94-93 as a slight underdog to take a 3-1 series lead. And a lot's been made about the refereeing, particularly at the end of the game when Josh Hart seemed to have fouled. And he did foul, and I'm a Knicks fan, fouled Tim Hardaway Jr. in a corner jumper to end the game. But my problem has been more with the fact of I just think this officiating crew for all 4 games have been very poor. They've allowed the game to get way too physical, and I don't know if they know how to rein this thing in. If you're a Detroit Pistons fan, can you be mad at the fact that you lost the game? Yes. But you need to be more mad about the fact that you have had 3 leads in the fourth quarter. I think all 3 being double digits or more. Games 1, Game 2, and Game 4. You lost Game 1, you lost Game 4, and you almost lost Game number 2. Detroit's got to do a better job of closing out games if they want to try and win this series. Game number 5 is Tuesday night at the world's most famous arena. Second game, T-Wolves versus the Lakers, 116-113, and very simply put, Ant-Man was the man. 43 points, 5 out of 10 from 3, and literally was just hitting dagger after dagger after dagger. And it's something that you have to look at the fact of not just the play of Anthony Edwards, but the play of Jaden McDaniels. 3 out of 4 games, he's had at least 16 points. Remember, he had 38 or 36 in one of the games. So Jaden McDaniels has taken a major step leap. But Jaden McDaniels, that only averaged about 12 points a game during the regular season, has done a great job. Julius Randle with 25.7 rebounds. And listen, at the end of the day, 4 out of 5 starters played really well. We don't count Jackson Hayes because he only plays 4 minutes anyway. But you got 6 points out of Dorian Finney-Smith and nothing else out of the bench. It'll be interesting to see, can the Lakers extend the series versus the Timberwolves? Next game in that series will be on, I do believe, Wednesday night at LA. Next game, Boston versus Orlando, 107-98. Celtics covered the spread. I told everybody going into this was going to be a 4-1 series. I am not shocked by it. Orlando got its game. Boston, obviously, with the win. Jason Tatum with 37 points. I thought Kristaps Porzingis was very good early in the game. 19 points, 5 rebounds. And listen, what can you say about Orlando? The play of Banchero and Wagner combining for 55 points has been outstanding. The problem is they don't have a lot of anything else. And you're constantly getting 2 guys scoring more than half the points. Orlando's going to be an interesting team to watch in the future. They will get Jalen Suggs back from injury. But they have to address their shooting deficiencies if they're going to make a run in the Eastern Conference for the years to come. But they got the coach in Jamal Mosley, and they got 2 budding superstars and Wagner and Banchero who are fun to watch. Speaking of fun to watch, can't say that about the Milwaukee Bucks, losing 129-103 versus the Indiana Pacers to go down 3-1. And this series is conceivably over. This is the series that I said I liked Indiana minus the 1.5 games because I was concerned that they were going to rush Dame back. Well, the story is Dame is out. Damian Lillard tore his Achilles tendon. This was according to Shams. They thought it was the case last night. It was confirmed a couple of hours ago, probably around 2:30 Eastern Standard Time on Monday when it was confirmed that Dame is out. And it's really a shame because this is one of the, I was just talking about this with Scotty Farrell on C2C. This is one of the great all-time clutch shot makers in NBA history. But if you really look at it, folks, and you really dig into his games, he has not done very well in playoffs. You look at the fact that he'll be part of a team that got knocked out first round. I know no Giannis last year. Got knocked out first round. 22-23. Didn't make the playoffs. 21-22. Didn't make the playoffs. So this is a guy that's been a great statistical player of all time. but not one that's won a lot. You can blame it on his lack of teammates. Can you blame it on maybe Dame has not done enough to uplift his players? It's a sad thing to see because Dame at the age of 34 will be 35 in July. Guys coming back from Achilles tendon injuries at 35, it's not usually the same. Let's hope for a speedy recovery for Dame Lillard, but that officially makes me start the Giannis watch, folks. I said this before the season. I said this before the playoffs. I think Giannis is asking out. This is now going to be the reason now because of the fact he's not competitive in the Eastern Conference, and now his Robin is going to be out probably for the rest of the year. Look for Giannis to ask out of Milwaukee at the end of the season. Let's get to the player awards where Evan Mobley was awarded DPOY. And it's really an interesting case for him to win DPOY because I thought it should have went to the Great Barrier Reef, Dyson Daniels. And you look at the stats that Evan Mobley has had. He only averaged 9.3 rebounds. That was good for 14th in the league. Averaged 1.6 blocks per game. So, yes, he was one of the best defenders on a team that's really good defensively with a lot of parts. But to me, I really look at more at the fact that this was highway robbery. It should have went to the Great Barrier Reef, Dyson Daniels. Now to the Knicks star Jalen Brunson, who won the Clutch Player of the Year award. This is always an award I find so hard because it's so I guess I don't know if it's subjective or objective. I'm not an English guy, but it definitely is based on what people think, right? There's no way to look at stats. I mean, you can look at clutch points, so on and so forth, but it's still voted on by the media. I think they got it right. If you look at his usage rate, particularly in the end of game situations, ball in his hand, it was a worthy award for Jalen Brunson. And just look what he did in the fourth quarter yesterday. And just the fact of what he's done for the fourth quarter of this series has just shown what kind of clutch player Jalen Brunson is. Shout out to Jalen Brunson, Clutch Player of the Year. Now to the college game, when Maluach, star center from Duke, has announced that he is going into the NBA draft. It's not shocking. We're respecting Maluach and Cooper Flag, lesser extent Con Knipple, to enter into the NBA draft, but all three have done it after going out of their freshman year. And it does make sense for him to go in there. He's going to be at 7'2", 250 pounds. He's going to be a lottery pick. Couple of quick notes really quick on the transfer portal. Peja Stojakovic's son that was at Cal is going to Illinois. And you'll see some more people talk about a transfer portal in the next couple of days as people make decisions. Also, Baker Mazzara from Auburn just announced earlier today that he was going to go to the Must Bus and play for USC. Speaking of the transfer portal, MiLaysia Fulwiley, who you guys know I am a huge fan, has decided to switch allegiances and stay in league. That's right, MiLaysia Fulwiley is transferring from the University of South Carolina to LSU. When you thought about South Carolina getting the star transfer from Florida State to lead the nation in scoring, the fact that Raven Johnson was coming back, you kind of figured that maybe MiLaysia was going to find a new home. And now she's going to go play for Kim Mulkey. Her, Flau'jae Johnson in the backcourt. It's going to be interesting to watch. You wonder sometimes with roster construction, maybe too much is not too good. Coming up next, we'll get into our award tour. We'll break out the series odds for the Bucks versus Pacers, Knicks versus Pistons, Magic versus Celtics, Nuggets versus Clippers, Cavs versus Heat, as we try to find your value. What can you find that the party is taking in the award tour? We'll be back with this after this first break. Welcome back to the Betting Above the Rim podcast, episode 144, and it's time to get into our award tour where we break down the future market. So what we're going to do is games not being played Monday. We'll look at the 6 series and try and see if there's any kind of angles that you can take to try to make yourself a little bit of money. We'll go in chronological order how the games are being played starting, whenever the next game is played, starting tomorrow. First off, Milwaukee, Indiana. Right now, Milwaukee is a plus 1,400 favorite. Indiana's minus 3,500. Look around. You can see it at 4,000 right now. So, just shop around and look before you make any decisions here. Series correct score, Indiana 4-2 plus 680. Indiana plus 4-3 plus 780. 12-1 if it's Milwaukee. 6 games at plus 680. 7 games at plus 470. So, obviously, games, when you look at this, you got to look at this. How many games do you think Milwaukee can win? I think this series is over, personally. We'll talk about that when we get into our next topic with our scouting report. But if you think there's a pathway for Milwaukee to steal Game 5, I don't think that this goes back to 7. I think this is 6. So if you're interested in Milwaukee, what I would do is I would be taking Milwaukee on a money line for Game 5, and at the same time put a ticket in for Indiana to win 4-2. At plus 680. I think if you get a slip up, you get one slip up, Giannis carries him to the finish line, but he won't be able to do this. I still think it's over in 5, but if you think Milwaukee's going to win game number 5, then you take them money line, and then you take Indiana to win it at 4-2 and take it before game 5 starts. Let's go on to Knicks. Detroit. Knicks are a minus 4,000 favorite. Pistons are plus 150. Knicks 4-2 plus 490, 4-3 plus 650, and then Detroit 4-3 at 13-1. Detroit's not winning 3 in a row, but they've been really competitive. So to me, this is kind of these same thing here, right? I think the Knicks are closing this out. I thought this was going 5.5 or over 5.5 games because I thought this was going to be 2-2 heading back to Gotham. Can Detroit steal game 5? Absolutely. And we'll talk about that more in the scouting report. But if you think they do, same logic applies to the last one. I think the Knicks will win in 6 then. So I would go Detroit money line game 5, same simultaneous Knicks 4-2 at plus 490. The only difference is here between this and the others, with this series also is the fact that you're looking at both series, both Milwaukee and New York, the team winning game 6 on the road. New York's a really good road team, and I wouldn't be shocked if they won Game 5, honestly, but Game 6 also. Magic Celtics. This is a pure stay away for me. Right now, it's I got to make sure I say this right. Minus 50,000 for the Celtics to win the series, plus 5,500 for Orlando. Folks, there is no way in hell they're coming back. No way. Boston only trips up 1 game in a series. They don't trip up 2. I would just stay away. I would stay away from this. If you want to take Orlando plus the points, we'll talk about that next segment. But I would not touch this at all in regards to this series. Let's head to the Western Conference, where now things get a little bit more interesting. The Clippers, ready, are minus 164 in this series, even though Denver at plus 138 has home court advantage because they will host game number 5 and game number 7 should there be one. Correct score, Denver 4-2 is plus 520. Clippers plus 4-2 is plus 172. Clippers 4-3 plus 270. Denver 4-3 plus 2, it looks like 250. The reason why the shortest number is at plus 172 for the Clippers 4-2 is that they win game 5 in Denver, they're going to go home to the crypto to try and close it out. I said this was going 7 games before the series started, and I'm not changing now. I'm going 7 games at minus 115. These games are incredibly close. Okay, Denver, huge comeback in game 1. I got it. Blowout victory by the Clippers in game 3. But everything else has been really close to the vest, folks. Really close to the vest. And I don't see anything changing here. This will probably be one of my best bets at all. Is going to be 7 games at minus 115. Let's head to The Rockets versus the Warriors. Now, obviously, by the time you see this would have completed game number 4. So obviously, think about the lines could be moving around. But I said this was going 7 before the series started. I'm not switching at all. This is a 7-game series. I wouldn't be surprised when you hear this podcast tomorrow morning if it honestly is 2-2. And then at that point, you would probably see the Rockets flip to the favorites or close to even money or closer. I think this is a 7-game series, no matter you slice it and dice it. And I do think Golden State will win Game 7. And at Houston, because I just think the spot will be too big for them. Last series, Lakers, T-Wolves. It's minus 500. Obviously, Lakers at plus 385. Lakers 4-3 plus 370. Minnesota 4-2 plus 1. It looks like 88. It looks like and 168. And Minnesota 4-3 plus 680. I don't think the Lakers are coming all the way back. Can I see the Lakers winning Game 5? Timberwolves winning Game 6? Absolutely. So to me, that's the way you look at it. If you want to take the Lakers to win at home, which I think they should win, take the points, just take them straight money line to win the game, and then turn around and take Minnesota to win in 6 games at plus 168. This has been an interesting series so far, but that guy right there, Anthony Edwards, just showed me something in game number 4 that I've been saying all along. When this player figures it out, he's already one of the top 10. You can talk about Anthony Edwards being one of the 5 best players in the world, and you may be talking about it after this postseason. After this commercial break, we'll get into our scouting report. We'll break down Game 5 between the Pacers and the Bucks. We'll look at Game 5 between the Pistons and Knicks, along with Game 5 between the Magic and the Celtics. We'll look at also the Clippers, Nuggets, and then we'll look at Rockets, Warriors, and then obviously the Lakers versus the Timberwolves. We'll be back with our scouting report after this commercial break. Welcome back to the Betting Above the Rim podcast, episode 144, and it's time to get into our scouting report where we break down games coming up in the NBA. And let's focus on the 3 games we played Tuesday and Wednesday, and let's lead off with the Milwaukee heading to Indiana to take on Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers. Right now, lines are out, and we have the Milwaukee Bucks getting 6.5 points, over-under of 225.5 in that matchup. And when you really look at that matchup, folks, it's really about, can they stay competitive, right? Can Milwaukee give you something here? And to me, the best way to look at this is just look at the team props. The team props for the Indiana Pacers is 115.5. 115.5 is it right now. And if you kind of look at the track record of this series, they obviously smashed that in game number 4. I do believe they went under it in game number 3. They went over it in game number 2 and just over in game number 1. So to me, if you look at anything, I'm going to look at the team total over 115.5 for Indiana Pacers. Do know this. They hate the Bucks. So for them, they're going to try and blow their asses out. Let's move on to New York versus Detroit. The lines are out. Knicks are a slight favorite in the matchup. Not a slight favorite, it's about a 6-point favorite, I should say. Over-under of about 200, and it looks like 14-13. Folks, I'm playing over. Here's why. I think all this stuff, and I was waiting to see if the 2-minute report came out, there's going to be so much talk about how physical this game is. Watch the referees get this under control early. call a ton of fouls, and get a lot of guys to the free throw line. I think this game goes over. Give me over 213, or right now 214 in the Knicks game. Let's go on to Magic versus Celtics. Lions are out. Celtics are 12-point favorites. And I think, when you look at this matchup here, Orlando's really played some really tough basketball here. But to me, you got to kind of look at as its spots, right? Like Boston should want to come out and try and see if they can kind of get this game going early. My best bet for this game, you can't even see it on the screen. That's the Boston Celtics minus 3.5 points after the first quarter. When you are a team like Boston, and you look at a team like Orlando that's going to be desperate, you think Orlando's going to throw their first punch early. So you got to counter punch them first and try to hit first to try and get a team that relies on its defense to kind of be back on its heels. Boston Celtics minus 3.5 points in the first quarter versus the Orlando Magic. Let's go on to Clippers versus Nuggets. Right now, the Clippers are small 2-point favorites. The over-under is 208. How you doing? I absolutely love this. And to me, I did this with game number 4. I talked about this with Kevin Walsh. Excuse me. Oh, my Lord. Must be allergies. First quarter points here. I'm looking at Nikola Jokic. I took this in game number 4 because I feel like he's got to be a more active and assertive player early on. It's a big number right now at minus 154. I think my best bet's going to be Nikola Jokic over 7.5 points in the first quarter. I think if you're Denver, you have to have this guy be aggressive and lead the charge early on. So look at Nikola Jokic to go over 7.5 points in the first quarter. Last game, game number 5, Warriors, Rockets. This will be something that I will just give out once we get to that game because there are no lines out for that game at record time because game 4 is tonight. Lastly, T-Wolves, Lakers. I'm going to Lakers minus 5.5. I have a hard time to see LeBron getting closed out at home. I think role players play better in their own gym, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Lakers kind of came out and blew their doors off early. Maybe a little bit of regression of Anthony Edwards. Maybe the league would like it to go 6 and go back to Minnesota. I just think LeBron, Luka, too much pride on that side for them to lose in their home arena. So look for the Lakers to cover the 5.5 point spread. This has been your Betting Above the Rim podcast for April 28th. For all things sports gambling, download that Sports Grid app. Pre-game, in-game, post-game, props, predictions, and more from the very best in the sports gambling industry. We'll be back with another podcast we recorded on Wednesday to be released on Thursday as we continue to go through the NBA playoffs. For my producer, Matty George, Vinny does a great job with the graphics. Thanks for listening, folks. Remember, it's smarter to be on Sports Grid. Good night.